So hello and welcome to Toronto. It's Canada's day today in the World Cup. Canada v Bosnia here at the Toronto Stadium. It's actually the BMO field, but it's a Toronto Stadium for FIFA purposes. And that's where the competition kicks off for, I think, what you could describe as the competition's forgotten co-host. We had all the fanfare, we had the football getting underway in Mexico yesterday. Let's be honest, this whole competition has been dominated and will be dominated by what happens in America, not just off the field, but as the competition goes on the field as well. And here, like, this is a place where I came last week for the Canada v Ireland game. I decided to stay on just to get a feel of the build-up here. And it is, there's definitely a mixed vibe around that, as much as it will be heaving 3 p.m. local time, 8 p.m. in Ireland. Because I think the conversation here has been about Canada's peripheral role in the competition and the cost of that. Just for context, just 13 games in the tournament are taking place in Canada, 6 here in Toronto, 7 in Vancouver. The cost alone of doing that in Toronto, around 380 million Canadian dollars, well above the initial projections when they were hosting the competition. Part of the way that the City of Toronto here has chosen to try and cover that cost is to buy a portion of tickets at a certain price from FIFA and sell them at an inflated price to corporate buyers. Now, that has worked, but obviously, on one hand, that's efficiency and that's pragmatism. On the other, it's sort of state-sponsored ticket touting, ticket scalping, whatever you want to call it, and that's actually not legal here. So that is part of the greater conversation that people are wrestling with around the hosting. In Toronto, their involvement, it's the biggest city in Canada, but their involvement ends at the round of 32. The stadium here isn't big enough to host games beyond that. So there is that sort of strange, uneasy vibe hanging in terms of the news coverage, but definitely in terms of the sports fan, the sports enthusiast, this is still a massive moment. So to get a handle on, I suppose, the feel here, to get a handle for the mood on the ground, I caught up with a familiar face. Now, Kevin Kilbane, obviously a very familiar face on Irish TV screens and also BBC TV screens as well, until at the beginning of lockdown he left. He came here to Canada. You may be aware that he met his wife Brianne on Dancing on Ice, and I suppose the rest is history. He's now out here. He's met his life around an hour or so from Toronto. Lives there with they live there with their 3 daughters. I think they're opening a pub. They are opening a pub in August, so very much removed from the world that he used to inhabit. But he is very much embedded in what's happening here because he works for TSN. It's the host broadcaster who, for Canada, this is where people will be watching the games during the competition. And very kindly, he let me go out earlier this week to go behind the scenes for a couple of their preview shows, just to get a handle on what's been said here, building up to the big kickoff against Bosnia, a game that Canada will be targeting for points, in the context of what's to come. So I just had to ask Kev, first and foremost, what does this World Cup mean to Canada?
Tell me, what is football in Canada? What is the vibe around this, and what does it mean to the community here?
Yeah, I think everybody will tell you that it's still growing. I think that's pretty much where they are. There's so many that continuously say, and again, it's not necessarily me saying this, but so many continuously say that maybe Canada aren't ready for this a little bit as well. There's a bit of an underwhelming feeling around it, Dan. I think that's what I found. And you mentioned that I live in the country, but I actually live in the country, basically in Canada, because I'm out of the way a little bit from the city here in Toronto. And I was down in the city, yesterday now, and it was the first time I've been into the city in a while, to be fair. And I got a sense that there was something quite big happening here. I really did. And that was more on billboards you're seeing everywhere. Jonathan David, who's just behind us here now, you're seeing his face popping up.
We're seeing that all over the city, actually.
He'd be the big player now that's really been marketed here in the city. But I still think there's a feeling of, look, what's this FIFA thing that's coming? They still don't call it the World Cup. They still feel that it's not necessarily their thing. And I think Qatar a few years ago did highlight, or was enlightening to a lot of people about how big this thing is. And I think it's still building. Look, football, soccer here is still the most participated sport. There's more kids that play it than any other sport. But there's a huge fall off when they reach teenage years, whether that would be they fall out of love with the game or they stop playing sports altogether. But if you're choosing between hockey or you're choosing between another sport, maybe track and field or baseball or whatever it would be, invariably the North American sport seems to win over soccer. That's the way it is.
Because you mentioned you live out in the countryside. I have been out there, I think I can say. I've seen your chickens, I've seen your ducks, I've seen...
Yeah, different life now, Dan.
You're a long way from Preston now, I'll tell you that. But you did mention on the broadcast this week that I think one of your daughters, you did a school visit in your daughter's school, and I saw you doing some keepy-uppies outside as well. But people are actually asking about this now, which is a difference, because you really have moved into like a remote part of the world. I know you're an hour or so from Toronto, but yeah, I can sense even from passing through myself, this isn't a natural sort of habitat, haven of like, it's not exactly, there's no street footballers coming out of here, so, but you've sensed that.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good example. Street football is probably the thing. Everything is organised. It's organised games, and that's the case in Ireland as well. I think I know that, but the street footballer is probably a thing of the past, more so in Canada. That's the way that I would definitely view this, Dan. And I think where I am, you mentioned they're going into the school, and it was quite funny. One of the kids first off said to me, when I was asking the question about what I do, and it was one of the parents has to go into school and explain what they do for a living to the children in the class, and one of the kids put the hand up and said, "Are you a weatherman?" So that was quite funny when that. It was a 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid.
You do a lot of media work. You probably have done the weather at some stage.
Maybe I've been involved in the weather at some stage. That's what it would be. But definitely where I am. What I've noticed as well, it's more the grade 7 and 8 kids are coming over to me now, and they want to ask me, have you played against Messi? Have you played against Ronaldo? They're the questions that they're asking me, but there's a genuine feeling, and they're asking about Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies, they're asking about Tajan Buchanan or whoever it would be. These names are starting to resonate now with people that wouldn't necessarily be calling, or definitely being in a football or a soccer stronghold. That's the way it seems to be now.
And look, this is the question that you've been asked, and as I said, I've seen you do various shows this week, and it's the broad question: how are Canada actually going to do? I think I've seen you on your show thinking, like, I think you seem to be reasonably confident that they actually can get out of this group, and then I kind of wonder, because I do think, for me coming in as the outside, we talk about the World Cup buzz, and it's a very general phrase that we all use, and you've alluded to it, and it's there, but then there's also this separate argument over about the cost of bringing it here. There's been some dissenting voices. Obviously, it's one of these things, I presume, if the football starts and then Canada are winning, it's a story that every politician and everyone wants to be involved with. Can they do that?
Yes, I'd be confident that Canada can get out, and I've said that maybe consistently, but Canada aren't scoring goals. They're not creating a lot of chances from open play in a lot of the games, and this is something that really goes against them. But there's a lot to like about the team. There's no real. I mean, Alphonso Davies is obviously a superstar. He's genuinely a world-class player. But outside that, there's a very good work ethic about the team. I think that the way I look at it is, I don't think they're going to get beat against Bosnia. Maybe a draw, perhaps a 1-0 win. I think that's how it's going to be. 1 goal either way in that game. I think they'll beat Qatar. And then if they've got 3 or 4 points going into the Switzerland game, I think they'll get a point if necessary, because one thing I think will be in their favour, I think Switzerland could be done at that stage. I think Switzerland could be out of the group. So yes, I do. Where do I think they'll get? I think they'll at least get a last 32 game. And to be honest with you, that's the minimum that this team should be thinking of, with the calibre of players that they've got throughout the side. The spread now and the depth of the squad is way better than it was 3 or 4 years ago in Qatar. Canada still haven't won a game. They haven't picked up a point in World Cups, 86 and obviously 22 in the World Cups that they were in. They've never picked up a point. So the goal is to get a point, first of all, to get a win and win convincingly. And the way I would see them winning convincingly, it's probably most likely to be against Qatar. And Canada don't concede an awful lot, so I don't see them losing 4 or 5 in any game. So if they win 1 game, I think that might be enough, Dan, and I think they'll get out. Last 16, maybe at best,
And there's no rest for you. When the game finishes on Friday, you're off to Vancouver after. That's where you're going to be. It's like it's a busy team you've got going on here. You and Stephen Caldwell, and there's a few other pundits sort of on the roster.
Yeah, we've got Jason DeVos. We have Asmir Begovic is coming in as well to do bits and bobs, and we've got ex-Canadian internationals, Julian de Guzman, who's very interesting. Julian, I worked with him over in Qatar and I did a lot of the MLS with him. He's now director of football at New York Red Bulls, so he works alongside Jurgen Klopp on a daily basis and many others within the Red Bull system. So he's an interesting one. I'm looking forward to seeing. Atiba Hutchinson, who now lives in Turkey, he's a Canadian legend, the record cap holder for Canada. So we've got a good crew around us, with it being Canadians and non-Canadians like myself, probably expecting me to provide a little bit of a controversial opinion, I think.
World Cup knowledge. I mean, I have to say, I'm on a show and they're like, what was the build-up like to the World Cup in 2002 in your country? I'm like, oh no.
I know.
He doesn't need this one again.
I know. It's so funny when they ask the question because it definitely goes over people's head what happened there. And he's asking about, I was being asked today about what was your send-off like for the World Cup? And in all honesty, it was low-key until we left the island, and that was pretty much it, wasn't it?
We don't need to do that.
We don't know. We're not going there.
We're done. Listen, Kev, good to catch up.
Thank you.
And enjoy your World Cup.
Lovely, you too as well. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's Canada. This is their opportunity. If the playoffs had gone in a different direction, it would have been Italy playing here today. It probably would have been better in terms of glamour, especially with the huge community here in the city, but in terms of I suppose football progression and where that could bring them, this is probably an okay game for Canada to start in the circumstances. So yeah, stick with us here in the Irish Independent across the weekend for the reaction as the games properly begin. Next for me after this is Atlanta to catch up with Pico Lopez.